'Cause I have loved you. Psych! You only made us sing that every single Monday for like our entire lives.
Yes, but we're not the singers of the family, so
No.
instead we're going to just talk a lot because we're good at that.
Yeah, and we thought it'd be a good idea to change things up and hit up Grand Central Station, New York.
Because you always love bringing crazy people home, and we know you love people, so we're going to go and interview crazy people around New York about their moms.
Yeah, creep them out, talking about their moms. Woo!
Awesome. Well, here we go.
Here we
Happy
go.
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
So it was April Fool's, and one of our babysitters were coming to babysit us, and my mom said, "Don't drink the coconut water," and me and my mom really like it, so I drank all of it, and then I filled it with water and strawberry syrup because it was slightly pink, and then I put an April Fool's post on the back, which was facing the refrigerator, and then she drank it and she spit it out. And then she tilted it, and she saw the April Fool's post-it.
Okay, my mother is a unique one. What makes her unique? I would say she has had more professions than anyone I could think of. She's an astrologer. She's a minister. She is a magician. She's a real estate agent. She's a travel agent. She is an interior designer. And she carries business cards for all these things, and I definitely have not named them all, and has no shame, like, whipping them out with whoever she's talking to, saying what she does, and she's not good at any of them. And so she is a unique bird. And that's what I love about her.
I think the thing I love about my mom the most is that she always knows what's going on in my life. Like, I can come in and it will have been a bad day and I won't tell her what's going on, but she'll say, "Did you have a bad day?" And she'll always get it out of me. And so whenever I have a bad day, she sits me down and she makes me tell her 5 good things that are going on in my life at that moment just to make me feel better. And she's the one person who I can always count on to make me feel better. So I love my mom. That's one of the reasons I love her.
My mother was a real character. There are many stories, but the one I liked best was her and her 3 sisters. I think one of them had just gotten a driver's license, so they took the car out. And this was in the days in Hartford, Connecticut, when there was tram lines. So they got in the car, and the sister saying, "Wow, it's so easy to drive." And then the tram stopped. They had gotten caught up on the tram rails, and they were attached to the tram car. So that's why it was easy to steer the car.
That's amazing.
And many other stories like that.
Sounds like a wild lady.
Yes, a wild lady, so we're all conservative.
Okay, I respect my mom a lot because she used to support her brother while he's still studying, and she was still in college. So she was working part-time and while in college to support her mother and her younger brother. And that's for me, like, that's a fighting or something like that. So I always like looked up to her because she could do that, especially that she did this in the Middle East and she's a woman. And I don't think I can do that. And hopefully one day I can have the same strength as hers. I love her so much.
Mom was great. She always tried. Even though we never had much, she made it a point to always make sure we get something. Me, my brother, and my sister. She's great.
So I really only ask my mom for 2 things every year. One is to take me to the zoo on my birthday, and the other is to bet on the Kentucky Derby for me. And she really hates the Kentucky Derby, never watches it. My horse always comes last, and I hope one day to be able to take her, buy her a fancy hat and take her to the Kentucky Derby.
Do you have a funny story about your mom?
You want to tell a funny story about me? To be on TV, in a movie. Be in a movie? No, you didn't make me tell a funny story? Yeah, come on. I'm trying to think of something funny now that I'm on the spot. What, the pogo stick? The pogo stick. We were riding on the train on the way in, and I was trying to get them to look out the window and see what was interesting about coming in, and nobody would look, but I looked out, and of all the random things, there was like a discarded pogo stick out there. But then we were talking about how dangerous pogo sticks and some of the toys that we play with are, but we keep giving them to our kids. So that's something funny about me.
Well, I think the hardest thing about being a mother is getting everything done that has to be done without going crazy. And if you have really active children like I did, my children were not quiet and they were not still, you kind of have to let it go, you know, not beat yourself up because you don't have kids that sit still all the time like some people do. I asked my daughter one time, I said, she had a best friend who was, their family, the kids were really mild-mannered, and I said, I don't understand why the Nebekers have such good kids, and then you look at mine. And she said, Mom, the Nebekers couldn't have handled us. So that's my Mother's Day story.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom! I'm camping right now. I don't know if you can see that sunset. There's Tom. We are camping by the beach, and just being here on this trip, I'm just remembering all of the times that you took the family on trips, and you were so good at planning all of the activities and all of the food. Every time we did an RV trip or anywhere we'd go, you were so good at planning all of the activities so that we'd have fun from sunrise to sunset and be comfortable and just happy. And I'm so grateful for how well you planned. You spent your time to make sure we had all these incredible memories together. I could never be as good as you, but I try really hard. I packed a whole tinfoil lunch for us to cook later, and I every time I do things like this, I'm always thinking about how well you taught me. I'm sorry, that's all I have, Mom. I love you. And thank you so much for being the most amazing mom. I am turning more and more into you every day. And I'm so grateful for that. If I could be anything like you when it comes to planning and just being prepared and thinking of all the little details, always considering everyone besides yourself. Always taking into consideration. I love you so much. Thank you. And I wish I could give you the biggest hug right now, but I'm sure I'll see you in Japan, and I'm sure we'll have more and more and more amazing memories. If I have kids, they're so lucky. They have the best grandma.
お母さん、久しぶり。お母さんがいなくて本当に寂しいです。私の結婚1年目、新しい経験がたくさんありました。時々私は本当にお母さんが欲しいです。Megan and Ethan asked each of us to share our favorite story of you. And I thought it's impossible to have just one favorite story of the biggest-hearted person in my life. But an experience did come to mind. What's funny is I can't actually remember the day, but I still have a letter from it. And this letter I've held on to and have actually read several times since many years ago. I must have been upset after just having found out about the divorce. And you wrote a letter and taped it onto the bathroom mirror for me. And in it you said, you know, life isn't difficult, Kelly, and if you think it's easy for me, it's not. But I don't want to ruin my life by being upset, angry, or hateful towards someone. And you said that you wouldn't feel like a good person if you let that be the way you responded to this experience. You said that at the end of your life, you want Heavenly Father to be able to say, well done, I'm proud of you, you did a great job. You said forgiving someone is not easy. It takes time and thought and prayer, and that if I can't do that right now, I can just be me. And then you even mentioned that you and Megan were going to lunch at Swingers and invited me to join. This letter still touches me because I think it demonstrates your gentleness, patience, and kindness. Character traits that I think you've had your entire life. And Mom, I haven't lived near you for the past almost 8 years. So it's been primarily through messages that you and I have been able to send and receive love. And you're so good at that. I think one of my favorite things about you is your ability to put so much happiness into your texts or messages or emails. I don't know anyone who uses more exclamation points or emoticons. And what's so great is I can picture your facial expression through every smiley face. The older I get and the more experiences I have, the more grateful and appreciative I've become of who you have chosen to be and how you live every day of your life. I want to honor you through the choices I make the rest of my life. And I want to thank you by showing you that your ceaseless efforts to help us know God and want to follow Jesus Christ have been a success. Eric and I are building our foundation upon the teachings of Christ through the acts we always see you doing, which are loving and serving others. And so I wish you the happiest Mother's Day for helping me and Alison, Ethan, Megan, and Emma to be the happiest kids. We love you so much. Happy Mother's Day.
So my favorite story about my mom, probably a combination of things that I just love about her. Once when we were living in Palos Verdes together, all of my older siblings had moved out at this point because they were in college or whatever. And so it was just my mom and I for the next 3 years in this small apartment. And I went down in the middle of the night to get a glass of water. I think it was like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. And not only did I get a glass of water, I also got a glimpse of true joy. My mom was just Zumba dancing at like 2 or 3 a.m. And I later discovered that she Zumba dances almost every night when I go to bed. And I'm so sorry, it's probably so embarrassing for you, but it's seriously one of my favorite things in the world about you. Also, it's really impossible for me to take a car ride without singing. And so like sometimes she'll ask me to sing, but most of the time she can really only tolerate it for so long. And then she'll stop me mid-song, just be like, it's my turn. And she'll just sing these really traditional Japanese songs that were so beautiful, but so funny sometimes because they're just so traditional and you're just not used to that. But she would always tell us the meaning, like after she would sing the song, the meaning of it. And they're just like the most beautiful songs ever. And to this day, like the sound of her voice is just the happiest thing that you could hear. But also, one of my favorite trips with her would be when we were dropping my sister Megan off at EFY in Provo. And my mom and I decided to drop her off and then spend the week in Yellowstone camping in the back of our car. And so it was just one of those trips where like you're so disconnected from the world and you just like have this experience where, you know, you're just one with nature, as cliche as that is. But it was just she and I was only like 10 years old and we just had a great time. The Yellowstone sky is so clear that it feels like you're staring into the universe, and I remember just being obsessed with it and like rambling on and on about space and how cool it is. And then in return, my mom would ramble on and on about the buffalo because Yellowstone has so many buffaloes and she was obsessed with them. And I'm pretty sure she cared and thought more about these buffalo than she did about me. But it's okay because in her defense, they were super cute. So yeah, those are just some of my favorite things about you, Mom, and happy Mother's Day. I love you.
One of my favorite stories of us is when we were walking home from grocery shopping and me being the competitive one I am, start walking really fast, and I say, Mom, I bet you can't beat me in a power walking contest. So I just start walking, and I feel like I'm going to outrun this little Asian woman with short legs. And out of nowhere, you just come speeding by me so fast. And I was so confused because I could not keep up at all. I was like, how are you doing that? And you're like, it's all in the hips. And just walking so fast. That was probably one of the most miraculous moments of my life. I loved taking naps with you in the kotatsu table, and all the little myths you would come up with when we were younger, and we just believed them so matter of fact because you would just say them as a fact. Like, I was getting sick in 10th grade a lot, and one day you were looking at my fingers and you said, Megan, I'm pretty sure you're getting sick all the time because your fingers are so skinny. I'm like, what is that? How can I fix that, Mom? But I believed you, and to this day, I'll just look at my fingers in shame whenever I'm sick. Another favorite memory is one time we were in Utah, and we went to Olive Garden, and out of nowhere, you just start making fun of Kelly's laugh because she opens her eyes really big when she laughs and just stares at you, and you're like, Kelly, it's very creepy. And then we just started making fun of everyone's laughs because Emma, she jolts her head back when she laughs, and I'm very silent. I don't make noise when I laugh, and you just were making fun and roasting all of us. And we were just dying of laughter, and the table next to us weren't saying a word to each other, and they're just staring at us. But I always loved that you didn't care what other people think about you or about our family and how weird we were. Come on, you have Ethan as a son, and you didn't care, and you always loved him. So, yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about you. You just didn't care what people think, or what we think even. We would get so mad at you when you would just give out so much money to homeless people. Like one time, this guy on our street, he didn't have a nose in Studio City, and we found out that you just gave him money for surgery and just trusted him to do that. And I was just like, so mad at you for doing that, but you always knew what was right in your heart, and you wouldn't let anyone convince you otherwise, you stubborn Asian woman. And that's what I love about you. And I know that I can trust you more than anyone because you never tell me what I want to hear, and you just tell me what you think. And it's great and refreshing. And I love you, and I hope to be like you someday. And you're one of my best friends ever, and it's not often that people can say that about their mom, that they actually enjoy hanging out with their mom. So I miss you. Come back to America, and have a great Mother's Day.
Mom, we're like best friends. I hope you know that. And I wasn't kidding when I said I just want to live with you my whole life. Some good memories. Well, you did used to introduce me to all your friends as this is my hobo son. That was great. Yeah. But on the other hand, for a couple years in a row, every single Monday, our big family home evening night, we had 15 to 20 people on average. And you cooked for us all, which is incredible. You're like Wonder Woman meets, I don't even know, the Queen of Japan, if there is one. But listen, one time I was riding home from my longboard, and I guess I met you at a coin laundry or something. And you saw me walking up, and you gave me the biggest smile. I don't think anyone's ever been so happy to see me, except this one time where you just saw there as me walking up, and you just gave me the most genuine smile. That's a really precious memory. Another good memory is at a time where I know we never had too much in common. You and the girls, I know for a while, like to watch that show Lost. But I remember last year I was like, hey Mom, let's check out this anime. And usually I'll watch an episode or two, and then I have to move on, do something else. But after the second episode, they're 30 minutes each. You're like, okay, next. I was like, are you serious? Okay. So we watched another one. And even after that one, you're like, next. I was just so cute. And had a really good time. All right, one more. And this one, Mom, I died inside. It's going to be one of the funniest memories I have of you forever. You were at Hermosa Beach. I'd gone for a stroll. You called me and said, hey, I'm here too. So I walked over to where you were. And I was like, where is this lady? And I see this just like there's the boardwalk, people walking by, and there's a wall, and then the sand, and someone's like leaning against the wall, looks like a bum. And I was like, wait, is that my mom? She had her like funny little straw hat, reading her book, and it was just so out of place and unexpected and adorable. But to go with that, there's a time where you're walking the dog, and it was late at night, and you hear this crazy scream across the street. And I mean, you know that it's like my dream to be a death metal screamer, and I couldn't practice in the house. You said I sounded like Satan, so I would just practice while riding my bike on the way to school. And then, one late night, I'm like screaming at the top of my lungs, and you're like, who is this crazy hobo? And you look over, you're like, oh my gosh, it's my son. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah. Anyways, Mom, happy Mother's Day. Wouldn't trade you for the world. And thank goodness the gospel's true, because that means we get to be together forever. Yes! I hope you're as excited as I am. I'm pretty excited. Love you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.